So in this episode of What's Inside, I'm going to be opening up a computer power supply. There are some things you want to be worried about because the capacitors inside here can have high voltages. You want to make sure they're unplugged for a few days. This one's fine, it's been unplugged for a month. But you do want to be careful, and I'll point out what not really to do in here. This is a standard power supply, it's a Best Tech. These are the types that are known for going boom inside computers. It is a slightly older one because it has an 80mm fan on the back. Really not that much power either. Also in this power supply, this one's actually known for having a problem. So the 5-volt standby rail is known for having a capacitor below, making it go up to 12 volts frying the motherboard. Not great. I have not had any problems with this power supply, but something to be worried about. Since this one also is older, you have some problems of it. You have some problems with older power supplies not having very much power on the 12-volt rail. So modern graphics cards and CPUs aren't worked as well as the older ones, which was designed for being only 250 watts. Only has 14 amps on the 12-volt rail. A modern one would have almost 20. So, the top, there's 7 screws in this one. It just lifts off. As we could see, now we're inside. So, if you're opening, what I typically do is, this is typically grounded or a piece of metal. Make sure, if you plug it in, don't plug it in, but you could touch these heat sinks to here, grounds them, keeps them safe. Here are the big capacitors. They have a little plastic piece here to keep you from touching it. And you can see all the wires in here. Okay, so now that we're zoomed in, we can see a little bit more. So typically how these work is the power comes in here, and it goes over here. The switch mode power supplies, essentially the first thing they happen is it goes through here. What this does is it gets rid of all the little hiccups in your line that are caused by, I don't know, all the other devices that are running in your house. It's not ultra clean power. That's what these devices do. Their goal is to clean it up and do that. Then the next thing, this is a bridge rectifier. So it turns those AC and it takes the waveform, which has it on both sides, and essentially, like, here's the waveform, here's the negatives, here's the positive, folds it all over, making it positive. These two capacitors hold up that to keep it into a moderately steady DC power. So this is about 200 some volts DC. Actually, most power supplies like this, you can run them with just standard DC power with enough voltage, but I wouldn't recommend doing it. You can see the next thing they go into is these transistors. These transistors turn that into a very high frequency, which allows them to use small transformers here. Now these are 2 smaller transformers. I haven't looked at the circuits in here a lot, exactly how these 2 are configured. But essentially what they do is they turn them into a lower voltage, but it's still that very high frequency DC. These 2 are the actual diodes that turn it into DC. They have heat sinks on here because if it is 14 amps, maybe it's, I don't know, 0.1, maybe a 0.2 or 0.3 voltage drop. So that would be, I don't know, by the time you get a couple of amps go through there, that could easily be 10 watts going into these heat sinks. Higher end diodes will be better. And now all of this is to filter it and turn it into a very clean DC power. They don't have to be very big because it's a high frequency, and the lower the frequency, the more you need. These right here, a couple more notable. These are Optocouplers, so that lets them control this transistor here on the other side. Because the thing with the Optocouplers is essentially an LED into a light detecting source. So what it does is it lets you transfer an electronic signal without any electrical connection, which is very useful because these actually are fully separated. So I can put power into one of these terminals and there will be nothing coming out in the output. So that's basically it. You could also see they have a fan and cooling. These do make a decent amount of heat. The modern ones I've seen up to like 95, 96%. They're amazingly efficient here. They do have little circuits that rev up the fan. There's actually a little thermal diode right here that tells it how much thermoresistor, that tells it how hot these are, and they rev up the fan based off of hotness, but I have seen some problems with that not revving it up enough in certain ones. But this is the general how they work. This is the general how computer power supplies work. They're pretty simple, but you do want to be careful about taking them apart. Make sure they've been unplugged for a decent amount. You can change these fans safely, and I would recommend if it has a lousy fan, you should do that. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.